Today on Dr. Phil. Love?
My dad seriously thinks that he has a shot with Stephanie.
Or lies?
Charlie hopes to meet her face to face so they can talk about their future, but she keeps missing her flights.
Now he comes face to face with a roommate.
Have you ever talked to him before at all?
And his girlfriend.
Charlie's online girlfriend, Stephanie, has missed about 10 flights when attempting to visit him. But you know what? She didn't miss the flight today. Let's do it.
Have a good show, everybody. Here we go.
This is a safe place to talk about hard things.
Stand by. We'll count you down.
Today is going to be a changing day in your life.
5, 4.
Get ready to take care of you. Yesterday, I sat down with Brittany, who claims her dad, Charlie, is being scammed by his online fiancée, Stephanie, and her roommate, Carina. Now, Charlie says he's given Stephanie over $25,000, and she hasn't paid him back, despite her promises to do so. And he is tired of her excuses. Charlie says he doesn't know where their relationship stands, but still hopes to get married when they meet in person. We started our investigation here in LA with a mini spelling lesson and ended internationally in Denmark, where Stephanie claims her inheritance is being held. Here's what happened.
I met Stephanie on an online dating site. We're gonna spend the rest of our lives together. I have never seen Stephanie FaceTime or anything. She says her phone's messed up.
She can only text. Does your phone work?
Yes.
Does it make common sense to you that she can't make a phone call?
No, it does not. Last month, she promised that she would come to me. I went to the airport and waited, and she never got off the plane. Something happened to her phone, so she missed her layover.
You've sent her money to get a ticket to come see you.
Yes.
In fact, her roommate took a picture of her getting on the plane. This is her boarding from that, right?
Supposedly, yes.
Yeah. This is a private jet. This isn't a commercial airliner. What did you say when you saw that?
I guess I didn't use my mind enough to realize what you said. Her dad left her over $4.5 million in the will, plus a bunch of gold bars, because he owns a mine in Denmark. She wants to give me $250,000 of her inheritance money. My daughter Brittany, she believes I'm being scammed.
He has sent over $20,000 to get his share of the inheritance.
You've actually seen the will.
Yes.
The signatures all look alike. Isn't it odd that 3 people all seem to sign their names pretty much alike?
Yes, very much.
Article 5 is special directives. They didn't spell special correctly. It says special. They misspelled addition. It says addiction. There are misspellings all through this document here. And it says they're 34 carats gold. The purest gold you can have is 24 karat, but these are 34 karat gold? That's good gold. That address on the will, where Richard would have lived at the time he wrote it, we thought we'd go check it out.
We're looking for a Richard Johnson.
No Richard Johnson has ever lived here. I've been here for over 50 years. No Richard Johnson has ever lived here.
Have you ever seen this person, Stephanie Johnson?
No, does it look familiar?
No. The name Richard Johnson ring a bell?
That doesn't either.
No.
I've lived here my whole life and never seen or heard of either of those names.
It's all made up. It's a phony address. Stephanie claims that her $4.5 million inheritance is being held in a bank in Copenhagen, Denmark.
Here where I'm standing is the address for the bank. Do you see a bike shop or a bank there?
I see a bike shop.
You would have noticed if it was a bank.
Yeah, I think so.
Bank doesn't exist. And if the bank doesn't exist, then there couldn't be $4.5 million in a bank that doesn't exist. If you're being scammed, you want to know it.
Yes, I would like to.
Now, how far apart are you from Kansas City? How many miles?
1,000 miles, I believe.
Okay. And in 3 years, you couldn't, did it ever occur to you to go there?
Yes, it did.
You have the address, you go knock on the door and say, surprise. Did you ever really think about that?
I did think about going down there and to even pick her up, but I would have got shot down.
Why?
Because she wouldn't have been there at the address.
Well, we did go there on your behalf. Stephanie and her roommate Carina claim they live in Kansas City, Missouri. And since Charlie doesn't have their phone numbers, we decided to make an old-fashioned house call to see if we could just talk to them and ask them what their intentions were.
Dr. Phil wanted to see if we could confirm some information given to Charlie by Stephanie and Carina. So I'm here in Kansas City, Missouri. Charlie's been told by Stephanie and Carina that they live here in Kansas City. I'm going to that address to see if they're home, and maybe I can talk with them. The address that Stephanie gave Charlie, that Stephanie and Carina supposedly live, isn't an apartment at all. It's a dentist's office. We are looking for these two women. Do they live here?
They don't work here and nobody lives here.
What else is in this building?
Got an attorney upstairs and a real estate office.
Hi, we're looking for these two women. Have you seen them?
No.
Do they live here?
No, this is an office. It's a real estate office.
No one in the building recognized the photos of Stephanie and Carina, and no one in the neighborhood recognized them either. I wanted to know if you recognize these two women.
I don't.
So you've never seen them before?
No, they don't live next door.
We were wondering, we're kind of searching the area for these two women. Do you recognize them?
Nope.
Have you seen them around?
No, never.
Have you seen them around here by chance?
I have never seen them. Not at all.
Well, Dr. Phil, it is safe to say that Stephanie and Carina do not live at the address they gave Charlie. No one I spoke with in Kansas City has ever seen Stephanie or Carina. And just to make sure, I even went to a few other addresses on the same street and asked people walking by, and again, no one knew Stephanie or Carina. In our investigation, it seems no one has seen these girls in Kansas City, and they never lived here.
Okay, now, we've been talking about Stephanie, who you've had the relationship with, but tell me about Carina, because Carina is her roommate. Is she also related to her?
They have the same last name, or supposedly.
Both Johnson?
Yes.
But not related?
No, I believe they're childhood friends.
Okay. So Carina Johnson, not related to Stephanie Johnson, they just happen to be roommates with the same last name. And her date, what you know about her is she's either 34 or 35 years old, so about the same age as Stephanie. Parents unknown, family status unknown. She works at Garden City Airport. She has a boyfriend. College unknown, grad year unknown, major unknown, where she was born unknown. Lived in Kansas City, Missouri. Her roommate is Stephanie. They went to school together. She doesn't have a phone either. What's she holding there in that picture?
An expensive phone, I believe.
Yeah, and she's Stephanie's roommate.
Yes.
You reckon Stephanie could have borrowed her phone and called you?
Yes, I've asked her to do that, but she says she's always busy. Carina's always busy with her phone.
For 3 years. And her boyfriend, who she has a relationship with, this Hans Jerry.
Yes.
Okay, he stole one of the airline tickets from Stephanie.
Yes.
Correct? Beat her up?
Pushed Stephanie down and slapped Carina.
And took the airline ticket?
Yes.
which is one of the reasons she didn't come see you. She was ready to come see you, but Hans Jerry took her ticket.
That's what she told me. So I've just started talking to Carina like 6 months ago, but I've been talking to Stephanie for 3 years. But just the start of this year was just when I started talking to her.
About money. Here's an exchange just a few weeks ago. 8:47 a.m., Charlie says, I want to talk to him, an attorney, William Sylvester K-O-W, on the phone. I'm blank broke because of you two, and I don't believe anything that comes out of your mouth. Good for you. Carina says, so now, since you're broke, what do you want to tell him? Because all he needs is the money, as side that nothing will make him allow the transfer of the money into your account. At 11:30, you respond, I want to ask him if this blank is true or if he is blank lying like you always do. Because I don't believe anything you say anymore. He's probably as crooked as you are. Good for you. Carina says, you're just delaying. I told him you always insult us. Stephanie is not even talking to you. You looking down on her, and it really hurt her deeply. I always tell you to respect your woman, but you just don't listen. The ball is in your court, but remember, that's not getting your money. The money that if you'll send a little, you'll get a lot, right? That's what she's talking about?
Yes.
Yeah.
I know.
And you say, I'm blank broke. How am I supposed to send any money? Please tell me. She said, that's up to you. Aren't you proud of him for standing up
I am.
for himself?
Yeah.
A little bit.
I am. Well, no, that's, seriously, you're calling him out there, and that's good. Well, last week, Stephanie's roommate, Carina, blocked Charlie online after he called her fake. We tracked her down. We found Carina. We tracked her down, and we're going to talk to her next. How does it feel to see who you know is Carina in person?
So that picture is you?
When it comes to Stephanie and my dad, I feel like my dad has totally lost his way. He's been lied to so long that he's actually believing these lies. Just last week, my dad said, well, maybe Dr. Phil will bring the girls to Los Angeles. I was like, what? Are you serious?
If Dr. Phil was able to bring Stephanie to meet me, I would be flabbergasted. If I met her face to face, she might want to marry me.
My dad seriously thinks that he has a shot with Stephanie. It's like, how do you think you're gonna marry somebody and you don't even know them really?
Well, first we're talking about Carina, Stephanie's roommate. And last week, Carina blocked Charlie online after he called her fake. He started pushing back. He started asking some hard questions, and so she just blocked him. Well, we found the woman in those photos, and it turns out Charlie was right about one thing. She doesn't live in Kansas City, but she's here today, and her photos have been used without her consent. Just as I said earlier, these two are victims. And Isa, come on out. How are you? It's good to see you. Have a seat right here until we get your chair out.
Thank you.
Charlie, this is who you know as Carina, but this isn't Carina, this is Isa. Tell him, have you ever talked to him before at all?
No.
You've had no interaction with him at all?
None.
Your identity has been stolen, correct?
Yes.
Somebody has gone on the internet, taken your pictures, used them as Carina, in this case. I suspect this isn't the only time it's been stolen, but they've used it and represented themselves as someone to him, not you, but you've never had any contact with him at all, have you?
No.
How do you feel about that, have somebody steal your identity like that?
Honestly, it's heartbreaking that somebody can do this to somebody else, you know, and make them as a fraud, and like, I don't know, it really breaks my heart.
Yeah. How does it feel to see who you know as Carina in person?
Feels good that I know. So that picture is you, but
Yes.
but she stole it and.
Right. It's from my Instagram.
See, somebody went onto her Instagram account and they take pictures from different places and then use that, assign a name to it, and start talking to somebody through text messages and use it to reel them in. And it's tragic and it's sad, but that's exactly what's happened here, true?
Yes. And it's happened to others before, too. I've gotten messages with the same thing.
Yeah. What do you want to say to her? Anything you want to ask her? Anything you want to say to her?
I don't really know what to ask her. I'm happy that you feel that way, though, that it's really bad.
Yeah. And you don't work at the Garden City Airport.
No.
You're not 34.
No.
None of the things that have been attributed to you, that's all been made up, right?
I'm 24 years old.
Yeah. So she's not 34, she's 24, and she has a completely different life. Has nothing to do with the identity that has been assigned to Carina. Now, over the past 2 years, Charlie's online girlfriend, Stephanie, has missed about 10 flights when attempting to visit him. But you know what? She didn't miss the flight today. The woman in Stephanie's photos is here as well. And we're going to meet her next. This has got to be kind of surreal for you because this is the woman that for 3 years you thought you were talking to. What's your reaction?
Lift, tighten, and shape your face. And the best part?
No needles necessary.
It's the secret to natural facial rejuvenation.
Is it a noticeable cosmetic difference?
We do like a before and after, and like this side of the face is totally sculpted that they've worked out.
Yes.
And then the one that's not worked out is just like over here sagging down.
I've got a secret with Robin McGraw.
Do you have clients that stop using injectables after trying all of your methods?
100%.
Available on Apple Podcasts and Spotify.
Well, we've been talking to Brittany and her dad, Charlie, who just learned that the identity of his online girlfriend's roommate has been stolen. Now, so you don't work at the Garden City Airport.
I do not.
And your name is not Carina, it's Issa.
Isabella Buscemi.
Yeah, and you're not 34, you're 24. And if you don't work at the airport, what do you do?
So I'm a model and influencer. I actually have my own activewear line.
So you have a completely different life than the identity that's been assigned. What about Stephanie? Charlie hopes to meet her face to face so they can talk about their future, but she keeps missing her flights. Well, the real woman behind the photos of Stephanie is here, and we're about to find out how she is connected to Issa. Her photos have also been used without her consent, which I have said from the very first moment they were put up. Come on out. Hello, how are you?
Good.
Have a seat.
Is that height?
You have to climb around here. Okay, now your name is not Stephanie at all. It, in fact, is Angie.
Yes, Angeline.
Angeline, okay. And you have never talked to him at all in any way whatsoever, correct?
Never.
And your pictures, your identity has been stolen.
Correct.
And it's been stolen before, right?
Yes, many times.
Yeah. If you're not everything that has been assigned this identity to Stephanie, who are you and what do you do?
So I'm Angeline Verona. I am 28 years old. I am a social media influencer as well. I graduated from law school.
And you two actually do know each other, right?
Yes. Yes. For a very long time.
Yeah. Because
Yes.
you're related?
Yes. We're cousins.
You're cousins.
First cousins.
Our moms are sisters.
Okay, your moms are sisters, okay.
Yes.
But you've never spoken to him?
No.
Never texted with him?
Never.
Don't know him? haven't received any money from him, don't have any connections with him whatsoever?
No.
Never corresponded with him, nothing whatsoever?
Never.
Now, this has got to be kind of surreal for you because you've had this text relationship, you've seen these pictures, and when they say that they're influencers, social influencers, they have a really big presence online, lots of pictures that people can steal, put new information with, say this is me. They can put their name with it, and that's part of the downside of having a presence on the internet. And these are two entrepreneurial young women who are out there, but this is the woman that for 3 years you've thought you were talking to. What do you say about this now that we've tracked them down and they've been gracious enough to take their time because they really wanted you to have some clarity here? And when we talked to them, they were both very gracious in saying, we'd hate that for you. They hate that they're being used to hurt you. What's your reaction?
There's one thing I want to point at her because I think it's Stephanie, but it's not.
I get messages on a daily basis, oh, you scammed me, and it's like, I didn't scam you.
This is the woman that for 3 years you've thought you were talking to. What's your reaction?
I appreciate you guys for coming and
Of course.
telling me the truth. And there's one thing I want to point at her because I think it's Stephanie, but it's not.
Right.
Because I did catch something with her. What's her name?
Angie.
Angie. She had a necklace on one time. It said Angie on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. I own a gold necklace with diamonds that says Angie. And I usually wear it, but I just switch it up.
So Stephanie had a picture wearing a necklace that said Angie.
Well, it was her.
Yeah. Well, there you go. That's why, because they downloaded a picture of her with her Angie necklace on. Yeah. Are either of you in relationships?
Yes.
Yes.
Both of us.
Now, tell me about your relationships, because
So-
they're actually here today as well.
I'm married.
Uh-huh.
I've been with my husband 5 years, and we've been married since May 5th of this year.
Introduce your husband, Henry. He's right down here.
Henry right there with the white shirt.
Henry? And thank you so much for supporting this effort and doing this, and it's a great help for Charlie as well. And tell us about your relationship and
I'm
Rick.
actually engaged. I've been with Rick now for a year.
Yeah, say hello, Rick. Raise your hand so
Hello.
everybody can see you. Rick's here as well. And so, they're two very industrious young women. They're both in relationships with guys, and they've had no interaction with you whatsoever. What do you hope for Charlie?
I want him to find this person, honestly, because that's so unfair.
I hope this brings some clarity.
And clarity.
And some freedom.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Because, my staff said, you just could not be a nicer, warmer, caring sort of guy. And that's really what made you vulnerable to being taken advantage of, because you're just a really nice man, a nice guy. You don't even conceive of somebody being able to do something like that. It's hard to recognize it, because you can't imagine doing that to somebody, can you?
No, I never could do that.
You can't imagine defrauding somebody, leading them on, telling them you're somebody you're not, taking money from them that is not yours. You can't even imagine that. And so it's because you can't imagine it, it's hard for you to recognize that. Give that to Brittany. That makes it hard for you to see it coming and easy for you to prey upon. But don't lose that. And I don't want you to let this make you a cynic and make you paranoid. It's just an experience. And, you know, you're like me, we didn't grow up with the internet. And so we're not as savvy about it. And I've had a whole staff teach me about it, but you know, you have to learn the lessons because it's, you guys live with it every day.
Right.
And you get,
It happens.
you get scammed and.
I get messages on a daily basis. I was sending them last night. We're in a group chat of all the people that come to me like, oh, you scammed me. And it's like, I didn't scam you. It's these fake profiles that misappropriate my pictures.
Yeah.
But it happens often, and I hate that obviously innocent people are getting hurt by it.
You two are victims just like Charlie here. And I want everybody to know that. So maybe if they see your pictures, they go, oh, no, no.
Right.
I've
and
seen
maybe they
them.
can warn other people as well.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Now, there's someone in my audience today whose identity has also been stolen, and it's someone you might not expect. More on that next.
Since my stepmom has passed away, all my dad does is kind of stick to himself. He doesn't like to go out and do a lot of things. He's very lonely.
I lost my wife in 2015. So I haven't really had a girlfriend, but I've been talking to Stephanie because I believe she's my girlfriend.
He feels like he needs a connection in his life. I think my dad sits at home, has a couple beers, isolates himself. I just hope Dr. Phil can pull him out of the rut that he's in.
Well, we have just learned the truth about Charlie's online girlfriend, Stephanie, and her roommate, Carina. And let me ask you, Charlie, is there any doubt whatsoever that this has been a scam?
No doubt in my mind.
100%?
100%.
Okay, because you've met the very nice young ladies that are behind that.
Yes.
They've had their identity stolen, and you've met the real people, so you know that's who they are, and they're there with their fiance and husbands, and so you know, and you can go to their internet locations, their Instagrams, you can see they've been out there for a long time. The question is, you know, what do you do now? And there's someone today that I would like to introduce Charlie to, whose identity has also been stolen, and it's someone that you might not expect that to be true of. Coach Mike Baer, founder of Cast Centers, is here, and he has experience dealing with identity theft as well and overcoming his own obstacles to becoming a renowned life coach. Now, Mike has written a book called One Decision, and Charlie has one decision to make today about how he is going to move forward. And I've invited Mike here today to offer some advice to Charlie. And you know the pain of all of this because you've had your identity stolen, right?
Yeah, thanks for having me, Dr. Phil. I know right now you probably feel really alone, and this happens to thousands and thousands of people. You're showing the images right now of some ways that my identity has been stolen.
They got you on an oil rig, and you weren't on the oil rig. They took your face off the book or off your site and put it on somebody on an oil rig?
Yeah.
And stole your identity and then used you to write to women.
And I don't know why they would choose my mug. You know, I don't think I'm not attracting the high dollar that these Instagram models are attracting, but my identity's been stolen thousands of times. I get messages every day.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I mean. We didn't grow up with this, so we don't realize this is a billion-dollar industry of stealing people's identities and pretending to be somebody you're not and using it to get money. And here's all the different ways Mike's identity's been stolen.
Passports, driver's license.
Shamar, Edwin, David, it just goes on all the time, and you have to live with it. But I get no pleasure out of telling you this because the truth of the matter is he will mourn the loss of this relationship, right, after 3 years.
Yeah, and I imagine right now that's what he's starting to feel as the tears are coming up for you, is just the disappointment, right?
I'm happy that I got closure.
At least you know.
I know. At least I know.
Brittany had a concern about her father's drinking habits, and that if he withdrew, that he might just go sit in the chair, sit in the recliner, close the door and drown his sorrows. And I asked Coach Mike to be here today because I want you to help Charlie behave his way through this and make sure that doesn't happen, because that's what you want. You want him to have a vibrant life and thrive and move forward, and that's all about behaving his way through this.
It is, and not doing it alone. I mean, I know you probably have a hard time trusting people in this moment, but when you have the right help and support, you won't end up in a situation again. And like your daughter's concerned, Brittany, you drinking after this is probably very likely, right?
A little.
A little, right? And how many nights a week do you drink?
3 or 4, maybe 5.
Or 5 or 6. What is the day off? Honestly.
No days.
Okay, so you're drinking regularly, and this would definitely be the tool that you would get into in terms of feeling better. But what I want to do is have you work with us at Cass Centers, and you would go through a period of time where we would have you enter into one of our coaching programs where your commitment would be not to drink. And if you commit not to drink, I'll bring all the resources to you to help you heal, feel better, grieve, get back into life. Because like everyone's saying, you're a lovable guy. We sit down with a lot of people on Dr. Phil, and like the producers are saying, everyone wants you to win. And so in order for you to win and not end up down the wrong path, it's going to take some help. So I would have a coach working with you on goals, what you would be doing socially, how could you get into the dating scene again, what are some realistic expectations of women that you could have, and we'd start to put a plan together and get things going.
Yeah, and you do all of this in place. You do all of this right there in your home, your hometown.
Yep.
Work with you. You'd be involved in this, and just really say, okay, it's post-scam, so what do we do now with the rest of your life? And instead of just having you go home and say, well, okay, that was 3 years I could never get back, then we'll say, no, let's make a plan, and let's not waste a day. Let's get active, let's deal with this, and come up with a constructive plan to make sure you don't self-medicate with alcohol, make sure that you start making some right decisions, make sure that you do things constructive, set some goals and behave your way through this, and you do it with some professional help. And when that happens and you feel good, I'm probably gonna call you and ask you to come back here and help me with some people down the road and pay this forward.
Be more than willing to help you.
Okay, fair enough. Will you take this help?
Yes, I will.
All right, good enough. All right. I want to thank all of my guests today. And if you'd like to join us in our live studio audience, just go to my website, drphil.com, for all the details. And you can be sure to follow me on my social media platforms. On Facebook, I've got a special Facebook group called Fanatics, that's P-H-A-N. And so you can go there and get information that you just don't get anywhere else. It's there first, and I pop in and share my thoughts and join your conversations. And you do have some interesting conversations. And you can also follow my weekly podcast, Fill in the Blanks. And don't forget to listen to Robin's podcast, I've Got a Secret. She's speaking with neuroscientist and addiction psychiatrist, Dr. Judd Brewer. They discuss bad habits, how they form, and how you can overcome them. Remember to subscribe and download, follow on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen. Thanks for being here.